This is week 5 in college football, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
you know what time it is, folks. Yeah. Ooh. That nice epic tribal music right there. It's College Shame Day, presented by Tylenol. Oh, you love your
That's
autism.
what's wrong with me.
You need that touch of tism. Tylenol.
That's all you need in this life, man.
That's what you need.
Just a touch.
Hey, it's the 323 College Shame Day. Scott, tell us about it. What was going on in college football?
Yeah, the theme of this weekend was separation weekend, akin to my first marriage. But there was upsets all over the board. And we're just going to get the one out of the way so we can talk about it. We can leave it alone. I can keep on moving forward. UVA 46 over number 8 Florida State 38 in double overtime. UVA now enters we'll get into the AP poll. Some pretty major shakeups there as well. Coming out of the game, UVA has now entered the top 25 at number 24, and FSU drops to 18. Chandler Morris, 5 total touchdowns, 3 on the ground and 2 in the air. UVA fans stormed the field after the second overtime interception by Jason Prevert. And I still haven't gotten clarity as far as if Squirrel White got ran over or if he's fine. I guess he's okay.
He doesn't
I haven't
know.
heard anything.
Yeah.
Some say he's still there, so who knows?
You know how they rip the goalposts out in some places and they take them all the way through the city and throw them through the river? That's what they did with Squirrel White.
Oh, well, knowing the history of Charlottesville, I'm sure that's not the first time they've done something like that before. But I won't say anymore. But this is the first top 10 home win since 2005, also against Florida State. And Reid, leading into the game, I was trying to find some kind of betting line on FanDuel because I just had a feeling this is going to be a trap game for Florida State. Let me put some money on UVA, at least get the sentimental victory, get some money out of a loss, and see where that goes. But I couldn't find it. So I think even the sportsbook knew that was going to be happening.
Man.
But for me, real big takeaway from the game was Virginia might be a real ACC dark horse, especially with how Clemson's been performing. Georgia Tech almost dropped one this week. The ACC is clearly wide open for anyone to take. And up next, they do have Louisville. They're on the road there against the Cardinals, and Florida State is going to be hosting number 3 Miami, which I have a bone to pick with you. Well, not with you, but I got a bone to pick with College Game Day.
I was going to say, I don't have a bone.
So College Game Day, they announced that they will be at the Alabama-Vanderbilt game. Wahoo. So, Reid, if you have a vote, are you going to go? Would you rather go to that game, or would you rather go to just, even if they weren't even ranked, it's still an entertaining game of Miami and Florida State?
Right. No matter what, it's going to be entertaining. And I would think that, if you're, production crew, if you're the hosts of College Game Day, that you why do you want to go to Alabama Vandy when, man, let's go to Miami, let's go to Florida, let's go down to Florida. Yeah, it might be hot, but this is the time of year it should be cooling down a little bit. It would be fun regardless. FSU Miami is going to be a fun game no matter what. Alabama Vandy, I can't necessarily determine if that's going to be a great game, but I feel like there's one person in that lineup who probably was trying to sway the votes here of let's go cover Alabama, and keep asking him about it, and it's all you get back is
quit asking.
No, I think there's 2 people on that panel that don't want to go to Tallahassee and go to a Florida State game. You gotta. So right now, Alabama's ranked 11th, and then Vandy is 17. So you have an 11-17 matchup, or you have a 3-19 matchup. Which if Florida State ends up winning that game, that's going to send another major ripple throughout the rankings. But I don't know. I think this is, as a Florida State fan, did it suck watching that game? Absolutely. No one wants to watch their teams lose, no matter what your team for. Even these Panthers fans don't want their team to lose, but they're inevitably going to. But I do like the way that Florida State responded. They hung in there. It was a very tough matchup. I already went into it knowing it was going to be a close game. But the one thing that I saw out of this Florida State team that I didn't see hardly at all, if ever, last season was that fight and hanging in there and really trying to claw their way back. especially going down, 14 points to begin the game. And, one of those, if they make the correct call in the end zone in the overtime and he actually ends up getting that touchdown, it's a different conversation. But home field advantage there for a reason. And I'm done talking about it. I'm over it. So let's keep moving forward, especially with this common theme being upset weekend. Arizona State 27 over number 24 TCU 24. They are now debuting at number 25 at 4-1, and TCU has now fallen out of the top 25 poll. Quarterback Sam Levitt, 278 yards, 2 touchdowns with a clutch scramble there in the game. Wide receiver Jordan Tyson, 8 catches, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. If you're an NFL team looking to make a splash with a wide receiver either this year or next year, depending on when he wants to come out, that would be a really great get. Also, running back Raleek Brown, 147 yards on the ground. And Arizona State's defense, 6 sacks, 3 takeaways. Arizona State could be the Big 12's just cardiac kids. They're going to give somebody a heart attack at this point because you just don't know what to expect for them. They're thankfully they have a bye week this week. TCU is hosting your Colorado Buffalo coming up into week 6. So I'm excited to see what there. But for Yuri, do you think Arizona State's close win makes them quote unquote battle tested, or will this just end up catching them and they just got lucky?
I won't even necessarily say that they got lucky, but like, are we going to call them a full-on contender? Or is this just like, is this just healthy for them? Is this just what you want from your program to, from your program to, have any type of, just contention and maybe vie for a playoff spot? Like, I won't call them frauds or anything, but good for them.
Yeah, I have like one of my favorites to go to that Big 12 title game. They got Iowa State to still go through and BYU, your Cougars. So we'll see what happens there. Moving on to, I think, Reid's game of the week. The Oregon Ducks, number 6 over number 3 Penn State, 30-24 in another overtime thriller. The Ducks extend their streak now to 23 straight regular season wins, and quarterback Dante Moore is steady. And I think when I saw, of course, it was Penn State's whiteout game. They do it every year. And I think capacity was at like 110,000 people were there, I believe. So to be able to stand in the pocket and deliver a win on the road like that is amazing for a quarterback. And their defense held up Penn State back to just 18 first half rushing yards. And this is a Penn State team that came in with a lot of returning production in that backfield. And to be only producing 18 yards in the first half is not good. Nope. And James Franklin, it's just another James Franklin game. The lights are a little bit too bright. Maybe they shouldn't have done a whiteout game at that point. Maybe it would have been a little bit more calm. But I'm very concerned for James Franklin and his job. He's been in Penn State now for what seems like forever.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel that he, even with the amount of success that he has had at Penn State, do you feel that if he isn't able to rally a deep run in the college football playoff this year, he's going to get axed?
I don't know if you can say he's going to get axed, but like you are going to have, different boosters and whoever, that are making the decisions there starting to have that conversation of like, can we get somebody who can actually take us to this, take us to, to glory here? Like you have other schools that are happy and they come to an agreement that, hey, don't ask me to win a national title here. Like, we're not going to win a national title. Like, just give us the realistic expectations. I think Mike Loxley said that in Maryland, that we're just going to get to bowl games and, be winners and try our best. Penn State is not that. Penn State is a school and a program that you expect to contend for a title and win titles. They are one of those huge programs. And what are you expecting more from James Franklin at this point if he can't win it this year? I still hang on that last year was his best shot at it. But every time it comes to big contenders, we always see the same meme. He becomes Keegan-Michael Key as James Franklin. So I don't know. Like it's a tough situation. Like with any coach and any great coach, because he is a great coach. Are you going to be able to replace him with somebody who can get it done? And if you don't, that's a huge failure. And then you watch him go to like some smaller school or something, some slightly smaller school, and have like, you know, big success, and you're missing him. Calipari in Kentucky. But yeah, like unless you have like a shot at somebody like Dabo, maybe if Clemson's falling, like I would like that. I don't think you can make the move.
Bring Urban Meyer back. Fuck it. Bring her back to go coach at Penn State. It can't get any worse. But no, I am 100% in agreement with you.
You said bring back, and I thought you meant Paterno. I was like, I don't think we can summon him, or we would. I don't.
No, science isn't there yet, and everyone hasn't forgotten, which you shouldn't forget, something like that.
No.
But no, you are 100% correct. Like if Penn State was a Maryland, you're not expecting to go win a national title anytime soon, if ever. Let's get our wins. Let's go to a nice bowl game. Let's get these kids their college degrees and keep it moving forward. But no, I don't think I think outside of an actual, I don't even think making it to the Natty is going to be enough for him. I think if he wins it, it'll be enough. But I don't think if he even just makes it, will be enough there at Penn State. And speaking about another coach who is teetering on the line, like you've always said, Reid, your hands are there on the dial to turn that burner on. It's right there.
Yep.
And that's Brian Kelly and LSU. Ranked 4th. They dropped to Ole Miss 24-19. And quarterback Trinidad Chambliss. What a name. Fair State transfer.
Hell of a name.
314 yards, 1 touchdown. The Rebels outgained LSU 480 yards to 254. And the LSU rushing woes continued. Just 57 yards without Caden Durham. And my biggest takeaway is Ole Miss controls its own destiny in the SEC. I don't think this is a team that I really was giving too much thought to in the SEC going into this year. I always had them kind of being on that fringe. They could surprise you and looking to pan out that way right now. Up next for LSU, they're off this week, but they do host South Carolina in 2 weeks. Same as Ole Miss, they're off this week, but then they host Washington State. Is Brian Kelly another one of those coaches that you will throw in the James Franklin kind of category, like outside of a national championship? Like his days there at LSU could be numbered.
That's
very soon.
That's one of those things, like, right? Like James Franklin, I think it's hard for Penn State to fire James Franklin because of where he came from, right? Like he kind of got them through. He got them back on track. Has brought them back to at least a competitive relevancy, and helping not forget, but move past the things that Joe Paterno and his staff did. Brian Kelly, what the hell have you done for us? Like, that's what I would be asking if I was LSU. Like, what have you done? If Notre Dame could fire Brian Kelly, I think anybody could fire Brian Kelly. And that's also somebody who has the privilege and the entitlement enough. He'll land right back with another team, like a Penn
UCLA.
State. Watch Penn State. If Brian Kelly winds up on the open market, watch Penn State go after him and say, "Now this is a guy that fits us. This is a Big Ten quarter. This is a Big Ten coach. Yeah, this
he fits in. He fits in right with Happy Valley.
And then he doesn't have to do that fake Southern accent anymore.
No, he can go right back to his scumbaggery.
Right. Yeah. Making Matt LaFleur and Kyle Shanahan shovel his driveway.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, hey, speaking about scumbaggery, I can't think of a better transition to Alabama's 24-21 upset over Georgia. Scumbags against scumbags. And Kirby Smart just can't eat. Alabama just has Georgia's number and Kirby Smart. Like, he just can't win against Bama. Ty Simpson, 276 yards, 3 total touchdowns, quarterback there for Alabama. And their defense, key 4th and 1 stop at the 8-yard line was critical for them to come out with that win. They do end up snapping Georgia's 33-game home winning streak. That was the longest in the FBS. And Alabama, as much as it pains me to say, I feel that they're back in the SEC race after dropping that season opener against Florida State, which was still amazing to experience. I think they are starting to right the ship a little bit there. I think Kalen DeBoer's finally figuring some things out. And if you're able to walk away with a win like that against a Georgia team that should be going to the national championship, if not a deep run in the college football playoff, that it's still very top heavy in the SEC, but I think this is one step in the right direction for Alabama.
Yeah, we got to see how Alabama finishes the season before we can start to define Kalen DeBoer as this, as Alabama's head coach, right? Like, we came into his tenure with Bama with respect and excitement. At least I did, for what he did with Washington. But, here at Bama, he's looked a little, kind of like one of those crystal ball kind of coaches where he's gonna lose you your games, your major games. I like the kind of uphill trajectory that they're getting on here. I don't know if it's because Saban isn't there anymore that I like Alabama a little more now, and I can get down with them, and I'm not going to call them, po' boy, hick ass redneck country folk anymore. I still hate their fans, so I do still call them all that.
But you would never say that.
I wouldn't say that though. Like what am I on Tylenol?
What are you, a monster?
Right. Like this is like
They're not
insane. Yeah. But
this is a new limited edition Mountain Dew flavor that they got down.
Bama's offense has been very fun to watch. It's been very fun to watch that receiving core just blow up to the point that Ryan Williams was the talk last year, and he is not. I don't see him as the best receiver on that team anymore. What's his name? Jeremy Bernard.
Jeremy Bernard. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. He is legitimately awesome to watch. Ryan Williams will continue to develop and be a huge star for them, and it's getting Alabama back on track. But I think Alabama's legit, especially going into Georgia and winning in their stadium. That's big. That's a massive thing to happen. So I'm curious how you feel about Georgia and Kirby's program. And what they are legitimately. Is this going to be a team that's going to come back from this and contend still for a title?
In short, yes. I mean, their schedule remaining the rest of the season isn't nearly as difficult as a Bama. Bama for the rest of the season they have like six teams on their schedule, 5 or 6 teams on their schedule that are ranked in the top 25 right now. For Georgia, it's 2. It's Ole Miss in a couple weeks. And then, 3, my mistake. I forgot Georgia Tech's in there too. The Texas and Georgia Tech. So I'm not concerned about Georgia being able to, scramble, put their pieces back together again and get there. But I think you're starting to see Georgia's hitting that slight decline that we saw a couple years ago. And the writing was on the wall with Clemson. And now we're seeing what's happening in Clemson right now. I think the rest of the college football world is starting to catch up, especially in the world of the NIL and being able to get a lot of these marquee players through the transfer portal, which I'm interested to see what's going to happen with the transfer portal changes that are going on in January. But no, I for this season, I'm not totally concerned for Georgia, but the outlook, I think Georgia's going to start coming back to reality here soon. But to round it out, another, exciting game, Reid. Illinois, USC. I'm sure you had this game on. You're tuned in for all 60 minutes. Illinois slightly up. I guess you could call it an upset. 34-32 over USC. Luke Altmaier, 328 yards passing, 4 total touchdowns, a pass, a run, and a catch. Hit the trifecta, so good for him. And a game-winning 41-yard field goal by David Olano. USC's Mekhi Lemon, 11 catches, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. Illinois is rebounding after a blowout loss to Indiana last week. And I think this game all but crushed USC's playoff hopes. Lincoln Riley has just skirted by this season. I haven't heard a word of his name uttered in any of my college football circles. Is he kind of just keeping his head down and just say, hey, don't look what I'm doing over here. Just give me a second to kind of reload, because I wasn't expecting USC to be on anyone's radar this year.
Yeah, he has been. It's wild that he's been quieter, and the talk around him has been quieter than when he was at Oklahoma, right? Because USC is USC, and obviously that's no disrespect to Oklahoma, but yeah, it's just kind of like I don't see him being in danger of his job, right? I don't see there being any danger. I don't even know if the hand is near the clicker. I think, you might be staring at the oven and you're trying to decide. Like, it was like, am I going to use the oven or am I going to use the microwave right now? Like,
we're warming up the air fryer.
Warming up the air fryer, and it's taken a while. Yeah, so I don't think Lincoln Riley's in danger here, and I think it does really help that, and I'm sure their boosters and everybody there is waiting to see how it goes, that, the California recruiting laws are different now, and the NIL differences are, different in California, to where USC is making really good ground on a lot of juniors in high school, and, could have an incredible recruiting class over the next couple of years. So maybe there's hope for them, but it is wild to me that he just kind of, like, this is the guy. This was somebody that was like, they're talking about NFL teams giving him a record amount of money, and it's just kind of fallen off and gone off to the side. It seems to happen, though, like every now and then. I remember that happening with David Shaw at Stanford, too.
Oh, yeah.
Where these guys just kind of fall off. I still think Lincoln Riley's a good enough head coach, but I don't think he's the Messiah that everybody was trying to, point him out to be at Oklahoma.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's more. I guess for USC, they still got a couple key marquee games. They're still on the road against Oregon at the end of the year. They're on the road against Notre Dame in the next couple weeks. They have Michigan at home next week. So especially Jaden Mayava, the quarterback there for USC, he's been doing tremendously. So I'm interested to see if maybe Lincoln Riley finally finds his what's that, bullhorn, and starts chirping a little bit more. But I think he's just trying to stay in his lane. But before we get into some of these AP poll shakeups, Reid, I do want to give the folks at home a couple of games that we'll touch on a little bit more in depth throughout the week. But for right now, it's Hangover Sunday. My brain's not working. So I'm surprised that we've even made it this far into this episode. But a couple games to watch. You got number 18 FSU hosting number 3 Miami. You got number 10 Alabama hosting number 16 Vanderbilt. Georgia's hopefully going to right the ship and have Kentucky this week. Penn State's at UCLA, and then Illinois is at Purdue. Some of the players that we just talked about, some of their upcoming games are kind of the games to watch this week too. But biggest risers this week, you got Oregon up 4 spots to number 2. You got Ole Miss at number 4. Alabama's at 10. UVA's at number 24, and Arizona State's at 25. I believe I had that correct. I'm a professional, right?
We got you.
Yeah. Yep. I'm a professional. And some of the biggest losers, LSU dropped to number 13. Georgia's to 12. Penn State's to number 7. Florida State, huge nosedive down to 18. And then USC and TCU are both out. They were 21 and 24 respectively last week. Now, I don't want to talk about all 25, but in the new top 10 for you, which are most likely the biggest frauds? It could be an Ole Miss. It could be Bama, even Oregon. Maybe they're frauds. Maybe, I don't know. But to you, because we both know who I'm saying are frauds. I want to know who's your biggest fraud in the top 10. I'll
push back a little bit on Oregon. I really like Oregon, and I really liked what I saw from them against Penn State. I like Dan Lanning a lot as a coach, so I like them. I like them moving up. I don't know how I feel about Miami falling a spot on a week they didn't play, but yeah, that's how it is. Texas A&M is an interesting one to me. I'm not going to necessarily call them frauds here, but I'm curious to see how that goes throughout the rest of the season. Ole Miss, I think, is the team that's most in danger of getting clipped. I like Lane Kiffin a lot. I want the team to win a championship now that I know of Trinidad Chambliss. Like, that's an incredible name. So I need them to win out here. But if I have to just make a jump statement here and say which team is the biggest fraud, I'm going to say Bama right there at 10, just because I need Kalen DeBoer to show me. Just show me this year. I've liked you from Washington. Show me you can do it here at Bama. Show me you can get them on track and you can take a step out of Nick Saban's shadow to the point where they're not continuing to call for Saban to come back.
I like it, and I'm gonna give you one that I think is gonna shock everybody. I could make the Ole Miss argument because they really haven't played really anybody. They got this top 5 win against LSU at home. Barely. They played really well against a very competitive Arkansas team, which I know not a lot of people really have any high hopes for Arkansas or like a Tulane, but they played really well against them. You know, you can make the argument for Texas A&M. I like this year's Texas A&M team. You know, they went toe-to-toe with a very tough Auburn team. They went into Notre Dame and beat them by 1 point, which is huge, to say the least. But I think my biggest fraud,
tell me,
Ohio State.
Say it.
Number 1, Ohio State.
Yes.
Who have you played? You beat the bricks off of Grambling. Congrats. You destroyed Ohio. Congrats. And then you put up a measly 24 points on the road against the Washington Huskies. Cool. The one team that you've played this year that's worth a damn, you only put up 2 scores on them. 14-7 over Texas at the beginning of the year. Looking throughout the rest of their schedule, Penn State, Michigan, Illinois you know what? I'm going to put them on upset alert. They're traveling into Illinois. I'm going to put them on upset alert in 2 weeks. They're going to drop that game against Illinois and Luke Altmaier. But no, I feel Ohio State Buckeyes, Julian Sain, he's great. Ryan Day is not. Jeremiah Smith is awesome. Like, they have really talented players on here, but I don't feel they've shown me enough to constitute the number 1 spot in the top 25. And I might catch a lot of flack, especially by how your sentiment with the Alabama fans. I have the same sentiment for Ohio State fans. I don't think they're really worth much because
you killed the entire state of Ohio. Yes, yeah. Right.
But what have they showed me? Am I crazy for thinking this, or like
You're not crazy, because I wanted to say Ohio State, but I'm a little scared of it. I've been thrown off because look how hard, like, I'm the first to admit in sports media that I was wrong and embrace it. I was so wrong about Ohio State last year. You know, fuck Zach Taylor. All right. And, you know, that thing in Cincinnati. But I called for Ryan Day to be fired last year. I said Ohio State would just completely flounder, and then they win it. I've been so wrong. I've been so wrong about them that I'm afraid to say that. So, look, the new Messiah here, I will follow you on this. I'll call them frauds too, and I will even sound the alarm. You said an upset alert. We will rise it. Yeah.
Here's where I'm at, though. So I'm looking at everyone else in the top 25, from Oregon to Alabama. Oregon's resume is head and shoulders above Ohio State's. Beating the bricks off of everybody that comes into their path. Oh, and then traveling into Happy Valley and beating Penn State, which not everybody can do. So I don't have them over Oregon. Miami opened the season up and win against Notre Dame. And then South Florida, which is another scary one of those scary teams. They beat the bricks off of them. Then they crushed Florida, which Florida is not the Florida team as of years past, but still it's a very intense in-state rivalry game. And they have Florida State coming up this week. So I don't even have them over Miami. Ole Miss, very competitive Arkansas team, very competitive Tulane team. They went and they beat the number 4 overall LSU 24-19. I like that win more than the Texas win. Oklahoma, same thing. Win over a very competitive Auburn team, a win over Michigan. And then I guess Temple and Illinois, it is what it is. But they still held both of those teams to just 3 points total. So even Oklahoma, I don't have them over Oklahoma. Texas A&M, you can kind of make another kind of conversation. You know, they beat Notre Dame by 1 point. They held Auburn to 10 points. They only put up 16 on the board. And then they just completely routed for dropping 40 points on both Utah State and UTSA, which those two teams can also kind of scare you here and there. Penn State, outside of that Oregon drop, that's where you kind of get into more fraud alert. So I don't have them behind Penn State, because all Penn State have done is beating basketball schools in Nevada and Villanova. Indiana completely routing Illinois 63-10. You know, they went into Iowa, they beat them 20-15. And other than that, basketball schools, Indiana State, ODU, stuff like that. So maybe I don't have them above Indiana. I can't put them behind Texas, because they beat Texas, and Texas hasn't played anybody else. And then Bama, outside of their home opening loss against Florida State, they went in like a very dangerous stadium against Georgia, beat them on the road. So I like that win more than I do like the win at home against Texas. So for me, like, I have Ohio State still in that top 10, but I have them out of the top 5. They're probably, to me, 7-8 range, maybe. So number 1 to me that's their biggest fraud.
Okay. I like that. I'm with you. I'm rolling with you. I'm with it forever. Ohio State. Fraud ass state, just in general.
So we completely forgot to say welcome back Bobby Petrino, who is now the interim head coach for Arkansas.
I'm sorry, what? When did that happen?
That's right. Earlier today. I completely forgot to mention that.
That's crazy. Congrats, Bobby.
He's back, folks. See, that just goes to show you, it doesn't matter what you do in your past. There's always a way back.
Is Bobby Petrino the one who had the neck brace?
Motorcycle accident?
And he was at Arkansas, right? Or was that Arkansas State?
No, that was Arkansas. When he has the I think it's like the Sugar Bowl hat, and he has like the neck brace.
That should be for our Halloween show. It's just our favorite coach costumes.
I should just dress up as Bobby Petrino.
Please come on as Bobby Petrino. Just ultra red face, just an ultra red face and a neck brace.